Greetings, programs. Welcome back to ArcNeo Reviews, and welcome to what's definitely going to be a little bit of a weird video. Today we're looking at a figure that, in and of itself, isn't super complicated, but there's a lot to talk about around the figure. So, today we're actually going to take a look at Transformers, War for Cybertron, Earthrise, Voyager class, Netflix, Soundwave. Yes, the thing with way too much info in its name. It's a boombox Soundwave. I already love it. It's already the greatest figure in the world. Thank you, Jorge, for finding me this thing. You absolutely rock, dude. You are a legend. This thing is great, and there's a lot to say about it, and a lot to say around it. So, off the bat, yes, really cool looking tape deck mode here. Little gaps here on the sides. I know a lot of people were freaking out like the moment that, the early product shots were coming out and you could see that. In all defense, when you don't have it under, harsh lighting like I do now, or they do when they have, when they're taking product shots, you don't really notice those. And again, you only notice them at certain angles because there's stuff in the back that will, block it off, hide it. To me, it's not that big of a deal. Everything else about it looks super great. I even love how they used the pinpoint to be the record battery light. That's hysterical. Little speaker labels up there. The back is a little bit less amazing, but, very few Soundwaves are super clean on the back. But yeah, he does keep all his stuff back here. Technically, you do need these guns pegged on to, provide the stability for him to sit flat, which does lead into what I have for a nitpick is this gun here. As you can see, this little piece is constantly sticking out. That means that on this side, he doesn't actually sit flush. He's slightly too far forward. So what I do is I will remove this little gun and actually put this one up here. And that way, if I need to, I can say, oh yeah, it's totally like the radio antenna or something. I put it on the wrong way around for doing that, but yeah. See, it's the antenna. It's totally a feature of the boombox. See? And as for this weird little thing, yeah, this is the weird little mystery blaster thing that came with Siege Soundwave as well, and as well as Sound Blaster. It is exactly the same, except for, while it doesn't show on the camera very well, this one is actually a slightly metallic, a little bit darker gunmetal. And, it's already been said by a lot of other people. Basically, the point of this gun, they tried to shoehorn in this thing where you straighten it out and, put Soundwave's guns on the end of it. But what it was really meant for is you put it on the back of your Siege Megatron to get that little, extra detail on him to just complete the, the G1 aesthetic with him. I feel like that's more accurate than people realize, because now we have this one in a darker gunmetal, making it perfect to put on the back of the Netflix Megatron from the same line. So, yeah, this has to have been intentional, because, this is the same color as these thighs. It's hard to see because my weird lighting and stuff, but it's that same dark, gunmetal metallic plastic. So this is actually the last time that this gun's ever going to bother being with Soundwave. I'm just leaving it in Megatron now, so there's that. As well as one of the big, really cool things about this Soundwave is that he actually came with two of his little cassette boys. So this one comes with Laserbeak and Ravage. And for anyone who remembers the Siege, Laserbeak, and Ravage, these are the same mold, sans a different head on Laserbeak here, but same mold with vastly, vastly different, and I would say superior paint. I'm not going to go into super much detail on them for like how they transform and stuff, because they're tiny. My camera does not like to focus on small things. Laserbeak's head is very, very difficult to get out, by the way, because of how small it is, and on mine at least, it is very, very incredibly tight. There we go. Flip this up. So there you've got your tiny Laserbeak, little itty bitty Decepticon insignia on his head there, painted eyes, nice little sharp beak. For comparison, here is the original Siege Laserbeak. So you can see very different head, quite different paint. However, yeah, the mold is still exactly the same. And for anyone who wants to complain that this doesn't look like Laserbeak, have you seen the first episode of Transformers? Like, first episode of G1, when you see Laserbeak before going to Earth, that's the head he had. So, yes, this thing is accurate. Anyway, that aside, get to Ravage here. Really nice little details and stuff. You know, the little Japan logo. Decepticon insignia up there. Random cassette things up there. Ravage is definitely a bit more annoying to transform, we'll say. His transformation does rely on a lot of things happening at the right time, if that makes sense. I know, like, when Dr. Lockdown talked about this figure, he talked about, like, dealing with someone who basically bought one and had to ask the workers at the store to transform it for him because he just was unable to. And yeah, with this weird little just pain in the butt of a transformation, it's oddly specific about how you do it. So I can very much understand. I will come out and admit it now. I'm not much of a fan of this Ravage. It looks very weird, as well as it works very weird. Come on. It doesn't help that apparently when they made these new Netflix figures, they decided to tighten all the joints, making this thing even harder to deal with than it was normally. Basically, with this guy, pick your mode and then leave him because he's a pain in the butt. Oh, come on. I can't even get in here to get his head to come out. There we go. So, yeah, after you go through that hassle, you have this very weirdly proportioned, massive thighs, tiny legs, Ravage. There is really nice molding on the head, though. I'll give it that. I kind of wish they'd put some silver in there for the teeth or something, but it is what it is. Although I do have to say Ravage looks incredibly weird without a tail. Like, he's a jaguar puma thing. He should have a tail. He's a big cat. Big cats have tails. For comparison, here he is alongside the original release. And you notice, I guess there is a new head sculpt involved here as well. Either way, yeah, these are very, very weird figures. I kind of wish they'd like had another go at designing it, but it is what it is. Yes, these guys also do have the pegs that fold out, and they do the shield mode, whatever. There's a reason I don't normally cover Micromasters of any sort. They're tiny, they're simple, it's hard to get my camera to focus on them, and yeah. So, going back to the man of the hour, the man of sounds, yeah, again, I love this alt mode. Really quick, just because I know someone will want to know. Here's how it looks alongside the G1 version. So it's a pretty close, size. A little bit wider and a little bit shorter, but overall pretty good. Yes, if you want, still has the button up here from the Siege one. Put your cassette guys in, all the stuff. And while this is, built on being the Siege mold, they have changed it so much that I cannot in good faith call this figure a remold. This is very similar to what they did with Siege Optimus and then Earthrise Optimus, where there's a few parts that happen to be the same, but the parts they changed caused such an effect on the transformation and the engineering that this thing really is still kind of its own thing. It just happens to have a couple similar parts. So, transforming him, really straightforward, actually really fun as well. Go ahead and start. Fold up this little front panel. There are little tabs right here, slots in the back. Go ahead and fold these sides up. New tabs in there to hold them in. Do that. Fold it back down. Come to the sides here and unpeg the legs. There's a peg there and there, so they are pegging in two places. Keep that in mind while you're undoing them. Bring them down and rotate them into place. Go ahead, come to the back here. Go ahead and split the arms. The arms are pegging into the back, so untab them, bring them out, snap them in into the shoulders, rotate the waist around so that the play button is now on his butt, and the smaller, fake buttons are now his codpiece? I can't remember my armor terms, but yeah. He's got his buttons in the front now. Come back here. Fold this little piece up ever so slightly, and then bring the rest of this back panel up. Yes, it is actually pegging into the bottom of the foot, so, you will have a little bit more force to deal with there than you might expect at first. But go ahead, bring the foot down, fold this piece down all the way, close it in. Same thing over here. This piece up, full thing open, foot, little panel, close it, open up the back, fold out the head, rotate the arms into position, and fold out the hands. And there you have your overly long name, Voyager Soundwave. And this is such a good update for Soundwave. This thing really is incredible. I like that it's got the red visor again. I'm one of the people, I prefer my Soundwave with a red visor. The G1 look to this guy is incredible. Just because it's worth showing, this guy even, while he's a lot smaller than the MP with its yellow visor, he's still, I'm looking for words here. Everyone knows and has been saying how, these newer figures are trying to do, small-scale masterpiece. You can really see it here. There's a lot of similarities, for being a way smaller, way less than expensive figure, it still has so many of those classic, high grade design cues from this one. I mean, clearly, yes, this thing is like one of the greatest figures ever made of all time. But if you're not wanting to go into the insanity that is, Masterpiece Transformers, this thing is a really, really good alternative to go for. And let's see, I'm trying to remember what else there is to talk about with this guy. There's so many random things. Here, just because we can, here he is alongside the Siege mold. And yeah, as you can see, there's so much changed here. While it's still clearly the same character, there's a ton of differences. This guy's cleaner. He's doesn't have all the battle damage and crap that so many people didn't like. Like, the only downside I can say is I wish he had the little red stripes that this guy got. That's like the one nitpick I have on this guy's paint job. Everything else about him, it is truly superior, shall we say. So, oh yeah, articulation and stuff, that's a thing. The head is on a ball joint, so you get some wiggle, some up and down. The eyes are light piped, which is always nice. You can angle the gun and, tilt it up and down a little bit, just from how it's made. Although, technically, this little gray piece is a separate piece. You can, end up taking it apart if you do too much with it. Full rotation. Shoulder moves out. This is a very tight hinge on mine. I don't know why, but it is. Double jointed elbow. If you mess with it, you can get him to press the button on this side. He even has a molded finger for hitting it, which is great. Waist swivel. Side skirts move out so you can kick forward. Move this panel out so we can kick back. Full splits. Thigh rotation. 90-degree knee bend. Ankle tilt. Little bit of forward and back on the ankles. Not much, but there's a tiny bit there if you need it. Just overall, it's so cool. There's also little notches on the forearm here that you can use with Laserbeak. He's got little notches on his feet. He's supposed to peg in. No versions of these that I've seen actually truly peg in, but if you get things positioned right, it does still kind of give him a place to sit. When you try to peg it in, it just pops out. Hasbro and their tolerances have been kind of getting that wrong for a while here lately, but you can still get him to sit on Soundwave's arm the way you would want to for a while. Everything goes wrong when you're on camera. That's the lesson 1 to anyone who's thinking about doing YouTube videos. Everything will go wrong the moment you turn your camera on, no matter how impossible it is, or how, something that has never happened before. It will happen the moment the camera is on. Stay, bird breath. So, yeah, me, weird, rambly, rantiness aside, such a good figure, so much it does, so much you can do with it. Again, if you've got the Netflix Megatron, this is how you get the little matching shoulder piece for him. If you just want a really, really good G1 style, Soundwave without, either tracking this thing down or getting the stupidly expensive masterpiece, this is easily your best route to go. And yeah, again, I cannot recommend this thing enough. Anyway, thank you guys as always for watching, and I will see you next time.